Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. Am I glad to be here? Absolutely. Am I grateful to be here? Absolutely. Take with me a walk. Let's go peek in on a first grade class, shall we? Let's go look at these. I want you to imagine in your mind's eye being able to observe a first grade class at the beginning of the day. The teacher comes in, they're all sitting there in their chairs. They know that they've got to be quiet, and even they're still poking their neighbor a little bit, but yet they've got that curiosity, that smile, that determination. I remember reading recently about a man by the name of Gordon MacKenzie. Gordon MacKenzie was considered a creative genius for Hallmark back in the 1950s, you know, the Hallmark card company. And he would go around and speak to various schools, and he loved to speak to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, different grades. And when he would go in, let's say he goes into the first grade, one of the things that he would always say is, "Are there any artists in here?" And every single one of them would raise their hand. I'm an artist. Totally amazed by the enthusiasm and the positivity that these young people would show. He would see it in the second grade, and it would start to diminish in the third. By the fourth grade, he would start to see a big difference. And by the sixth grade, "Are there any artists in here?" 1, 2, maybe 3 hands go up. What happened? What was the difference between first grade and sixth grade? Now, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of things that could come in. People conjecture, some people conjecture that it's that fear of failure. Possibly. Mackenzie thought that it was more a fear of being judged. You know, and as we think about the things that we can do versus the versus the things that we can't do. This last week, I had the opportunity to meet with some amazing entrepreneurs. I continue to grow. I'm so blessed to be able to be a part of their lives and to be able to learn from them. In addition to that, this weekend, I also had the opportunity to learn from many people much wiser than me as I participated in a conference along with millions of others, really, that listened to these great wisdom that came from men and women much older and much wiser than I. One of my great takeaways was, Lee, focus on what you can do. Don't spend time focusing on what you can't do. Now, as you think about that, when we focus on the things that we can't do, a rising spirit of unworthiness starts to come into our body. It's kind of the anti-gratitude. We move out of gratitude when we focus on the things that we can't do. And we have a sense of unworthiness. Contrast that with a sense of when we have focus on the things that we can do, that's an abundant, grateful attitude. And as we focus on the things that we can do, then we have rising within us a wonderful sense of worthiness. Now, John Nesbitt, who was an author who wrote the book Megatrends, blockbuster Megatrends, back in, I think, the 1990s, one of his predictions for the 21st century is that we would see a shift of people being not as motivated by money or fame as they would be motivated by a sense of belonging. And those individuals that have a strong sense of worthiness can't help but have a strong sense of belonging. They seem to go hand in hand. And that brings this sense of happiness. You know, someone wants to find unhappiness as the hunger to get, and happiness as the hunger to give. And when we're in that can't mentality, we can't give. We don't give. We're afraid of being judged. But when we're in that can mentality, then we can reach out and we can have that hunger to give to others and not just to get. And, you know, I think if the individual could take one day, just one single day, and devote it to discovering the brightness, the sweetness, and the happiness of life, not for himself, but for others, then I believe that he would discover a revelation of what happiness really is. So my challenge for you and for me this next week is to focus on those things that we can do. Let's stay in that abundant attitude, that attitude of gratitude of what we can do, and leave that unworthy attitude of what we can't do in the dust behind us, shall we? Let's have a great week. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.